Hey everyone, welcome to Grinders Live. It's Wednesday, which means it's split slate type of day. We had some baseball going earlier this morning. We have a nice little 9-game slate here this afternoon. Joined today by Keith Eister. Eyes 819. What's happening, my friend?
Yeah, not much, man. Another one of these all-day baseball type of things. I didn't play much this morning, but we got a really good one here tonight with some really great pitching options. We've got the Padres cheap again in Coors, so some great hitting options as well. Yankees in a great spot. It's going to be a fun one to break down here.
I mean, it has to be better than Noah Syndergaard yesterday. We were talking, we had the morning grind yesterday, and we were talking about Noah Syndergaard, and we were like, oh man, his strikeouts have increased. And we saw that like the slider percentage went way up, and then he threw 11% sliders last night. And I know you took his over on strikeout prop. I had his over, cost me 2 10Xs on Prize Picks yesterday. So yeah, I mean, listen, we're here to bounce back. That's what DFS and betting is all about, right? You bounce back to the next slate.
Yep, absolutely. I was right there with you. I had a parlay boost, a profit boost on DraftKings. So I parlayed like 6 strikeout props together, and Syndergaard was the one of the 6 that did not hit. Cost me about close to $1,000. So yeah, that one stung a little bit. I thought we really found something when we were digging into Syndergaard there. His slider had been up around 35% for the last 2 starts, and it was working for him. But for some reason, he decided that he didn't need it last night, and he also got pulled at 80 pitches, which did not help anything. But yeah, like you said, new day. It's DFS. We get to do this every single day, multiple times a day at some point. So we're ready to get back at it today for sure.
He got pulled at 80-something pitches because he walked 2 guys.
Yeah.
And
control was all over the place.
But I mean, the second walk, that it was a really borderline call. And yeah. And like Cardi had that umpire as like a hitter's umpire, and I was like, are you sure it's not an extreme pitcher's umpire or hitter's umpire? Just not. He was a very, very tight strike zone. And that hurt Syndergaard too. And we talk about umpires all the time. Speaking of umpires, one of the best strikeout pitchers in baseball, we'll talk about him here in a minute, Shane McClanahan, gets one of the best umpires for pitchers in baseball tonight with Kupla behind the plate. So that's always nice to see. But no other really extreme umpires on the slate. Just wanted to bring that up since we were talking about it. We're going to roll here for hour and 20 minutes. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, help us out. Hope everyone's enjoying the week without Dean. I know that mustache is getting to the point where we needed something else, so they brought on the beard. But yeah, man, Dean, good dude. But yeah, hit like and subscribe, and yeah, let's before we go like full position by position, I'll say if you're over in YouTube, if you have a question, post them in chat. Well, we have 9 games, we have plenty of time here. Just give me a slate overview that give the people what you're looking at here.
Yeah, so I alluded to it a little bit already. A super strong pitching slate with 3 of the absolute best strikeout pitchers in baseball. You've got McClanahan, who's up around 37% strikeouts this season. You've got Christian Javier, who has just kind of exploded here recently. Over his last 4 starts, he's up around 40% strikeouts, striking out over 40% of righties, and he gets a righty-heavy lineup today. And then you've got Ohtani, who also has just massive strikeout upside. Gets a matchup against Houston, who is without their best hitter in Yordan Alvarez. Michael Brantley still on the IL, so not the same Houston team that we typically are afraid of for DFS purposes. And Ohtani has pitched twice against them this season already and fared really well in both of those starts. So he is absolutely in that top tier as well. Those 3 pitchers, and then I mentioned the Coors game as well. You've got San Diego again with several cheap options. And the Yankees with a matchup against Mike Minor, who is giving up a ton of fly balls and a ton of hard contact. One of the best teams in the league for right-handed power, they line up really well against Minor. So I think we have 3 very clear top pitching options and 2 very clear top offenses on the slate. Anything else beyond that, I think you're going to be differentiated enough. So there are plenty of spots to get different.
It really is. It's a great slate. There's so much of so many great things. We have some mid-tier pitching, we have some top-tier pitching, we have cheap guys that you could potentially. We got wind blowing in at Wrigley, we got cores. Like, you got a little of everything on this slate. So I mean, it's going to be fun to break down. Are you a fan of best ball? Do you do best balls?
I've dabbled a little bit. I haven't gotten into it yet this year. Just haven't found the time. But yeah, I am a fan of it. It's a great format. Just something to kill some time for sure. Whenever you got downtime, just the drafts are really fun, and then you just don't have to worry about it again for the rest of the season. So great format. I just haven't had the time to quite get into it yet this year, but I do plan on getting into it for sure.
Well, it's nice for you is you work here, so you get access to spikeweek.com. They're doing a ton of great stuff over there. If you haven't checked them out, they have premium membership access for best ball draft kits for NFL, NBA, MLB, NFL playoffs, many, many more. So you get access to all the Spike Week best ball tools, including ADP tools and Draft IQ to track your exposures across all your drafts. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Go to spikeweek.com and check them out. Like I said, they're crushing it, absolutely crushing it over there. Eric has been working all off season, so check them out. Again, love what they're doing. I'm like round 15 or 16 now on the Scott Fish Bowl, so like I'm fully invested in like getting my research started for NFL now because of the Scott Fish Bowl. It happens every year. Like, I drag my feet for NFL until the Scott Fish Bowl starts, and then I start looking at NFL stuff. So a lot of interesting stuff going on. So check them out over there on Spike Week. Let's jump in here. We'll talk pitchers first, like we always do, but let's start right here at the top. You have the league leader in strikeouts facing the Red Sox today in Tampa Bay with the best pitchers umpire, one of the best pitchers umpires in baseball. Let's talk Shane McClanahan here.
Yeah, I mean, it's the strikeouts. The Red Sox have been pretty good against left-handed pitching, so I probably have him slightly behind Ohtani and Javier, who we're going to talk about. But you can't deny the upside. I mean, you skim through the game log, and there are plenty of double-digit strikeout games in there. He's at 8 or 9 almost every single time out. When we're talking about pitchers of this level with this kind of strikeout ability, the matchup doesn't really matter. But we have 3 such pitchers on this slate, and I would say that McClanahan has the most difficult matchup of the 3 because of how the Red Sox have handled left-handed pitching, not just this season, but for the past couple of years. They've been just a really solid team against lefties. They do get a park downgrade going into Tampa, which helps him probably limit the damage a little bit today. The strikeout upside is there. I think he's a phenomenal tournament option. I do have the other 2 slightly ahead of him, though.
Yeah, I mean, I have McClanahan as my number 1 guy today, and I'm a Red Sox fan. They rolled out a 3 lefty lineup tonight, and like Devers is hitting second, Verdugo's hitting 5th. Jackie Bradley Jr. hits last every night. They really just have him as a defensive play at this point. But you're separating, some of these right-handed bats by these lefties, and like McClanahan has been death to lefties this year. He's very good against righties as well. These guys all hit the ball on the ground outside of JD Martinez. So like we're getting high ground ball rates. We're not getting a ton of strikeouts, but I mean, that's McClanahan. This dude is a built-in strikeout machine. So 10 strikeouts against Boston earlier this season is only meeting against them. This game's in Tampa. Good umpire. If we're considering price, maybe you could potentially rank some of these guys ahead of him. But I mean, when I'm looking at just pure ceiling, he's that guy for me today. The other guy, like in the same price range, we have Joe Musgrove in Coors. Probably not going to go Joe Musgrove today, even though he's probably going to be less than 5% owned. But the other guy that I find interesting here is Zach Wheeler. He's in a tough matchup going up against Toronto. This lineup we know is really good, but they're very right-handed heavy. They have 8 righties in this lineup today. Zach Wheeler is a dude with a 28% K rate against righties. So talk to me here about Wheeler going against Toronto.
Yeah, I love Zach Wheeler. I think he is a true ace in the game. Just on this slate, I think the other guys have a lot more strikeout upside. Toronto is a very difficult matchup. You did allude to their being right-handed heavy, which certainly helps him. But we kind of saw this exact same matchup for Wheeler in his last two starts actually against St. Louis. St. Louis is a very similar team to Toronto in that they have a lot of right-handed power, but they don't strike out a ton. He fared okay in those starts, but he only had 5 strikeouts in each of them. So when I'm comparing him to McClanahan, Javier, Ohtani on this slate, I'm a little bit concerned about the upside, and he's also more expensive than 2 of those guys as well, which doesn't help anything. He's going to go deep into the game. I don't know that he gets up to the 8 or 9 strikeout level that I'm pretty confident that the other 3 are going to get to. So for that reason, I get the ownership play. I think he's a fabulous pitcher, but I just have more interest in the other 3 with the bigger strikeout stuff. And there is another pivot down here also that I think has the strikeout upside to match him, in addition to those other three high-owned guys we've already touched on.
So I think where Wheeler gets them on the upside is he can throw 110 pitches in a start and go 8 innings, where Tampa, I mean, McClanahan could be pitching fantastic, and I mean, he's not likely going to get the 8th or 9th because that bullpen's just so good and how Cash kind of manages games. And then Javier, I mean, he's like a 5 to 7 inning guy most nights. So I think where Wheeler could potentially catch them upside is getting that extra maybe 1 or 2 innings. I think they're all very close today. Let's talk. We're not playing Tony Gonsolin against St. Louis today, right? We just have too many aces in this range, and this is not the spot, I think, to play him. Are you in agreement with that?
I do agree with that. Just not the spot. I just touched on St. Louis and how tough of an offense they are. They don't strike out very much. Gonsolin's getting a little lucky this season. If we're breaking him down, and he just doesn't have quite the leash. I would much rather get up to Wheeler than Gonsolin. He's just not in this same tier. He's priced equivalently, so I will just pass on Gonsolin today.
So let's talk. Let's talk Javier. Mike Trout left the game early last night. It doesn't sound like he's going to go on the IL, but it also doesn't sound like he's going to be in the lineup tonight. Ohtani's pitching. Trout not potentially in the lineup. When Trout's not in the lineup, this lineup is it's so beatable. We're looking at a lineup with Trout in it at 25.5% strikeouts this season against right-handed pitching. Javier absolutely dominated this offense. Was it a month ago? A few weeks ago? It was a lot. I think he put up like 40 plus DK points. So big strikeout stuff against a very strikeout heavy, very right-handed heavy offense. Talk to me here about Christian Javier.
Yeah, it's the strikeout upside. He doesn't quite have the leash that you hope for. But I mean, he has been double-digit strikeouts a couple of times here recently. Seems like he is really taking a step forward this year. Absolutely elite strikeout stuff. Yeah, I mean, we don't have a lineup yet, but potentially seeing probably 6-7 righties in this lineup, and that strikeout rate to right-handers is over 42% this season. He has just been death to righties. No Trout in this lineup leaves the Angels lineup just not offering much of a threat at all. I think he is able to mow them down. Should be able to go fairly deep because of that, just the lack of resistance on the other side. Like he's dealing with Ohtani and Ward are really their only 2 that you're even concerned about. The rest of the bottom of the lineup should offer a ton of strikeouts, very little ISO. There's just not a lot of talent on this Angels team outside of Ohtani and Ward. If Trout is in there, I'm still not concerned. I think Javier is in a fantastic spot. Angels are striking out at the highest rate in baseball this year.
All right, in the same range, we have Severino and Ohtani. We'll stick to the same game, and then we'll go back to Severino. But we have Ohtani with a 34% K rate on the season, facing a very low strikeout Houston offense. listen, Ohtani has shown that he's really good and he can beat these offenses. And at 9,100, we know he has the ceiling to beat an offense like Houston. It's just we have so many studs today. It's hard for me to be really heavy on Ohtani when I have guys in better matchups and Ohtani's getting this low strikeout team. No Yordan Alvarez in the lineup right now. No Michael Brantley. So not the same typical Houston lineup. We'll circle back to Severino in a second for Eric in chat, but talk to me here about Ohtani going up against Houston.
Yeah, I absolutely love Ohtani. He is the cheapest of the top three that I mentioned. And this Astros team without Alvarez and without Brantley, there's more upside than we're typically used to seeing in a matchup against Houston. Both of those guys are super low strikeouts, under 15%. You're getting guys in the lineup like Matejevich and Myers who have both struck out a ton this year. Matejevich is up to over almost 38%. Myers is 26%. You've got Maldonado and Pena in the lineup as well, who are both high strikeout guys. So there are more strikeouts in this Houston lineup than we're used to seeing. Obviously, you have the Altuve, the Tucker, Bregman to still deal with. They can present some problems, but Ohtani is just an elite pitcher. I really like what I've seen with him this season. He has cut down the walks drastically. The strikeout stuff is absolutely still there, well above 30% on the season. Ohtani might be my favorite play on the slate.
There you go. We're allowed to disagree. That's what's fantastic about this. I mean, it's not much different than like McClanahan's matchup because the Red Sox are a team that doesn't strike out a ton against right-handed pitching, and it's not much different really than the Zach Wheeler matchup because Toronto is not a huge strikeout team. So, I mean, he is the cheaper of those options. Just looking at it from the outside looking in, looking here at Severino, another guy, 28% K rate on the season, much better, much higher strikeout rate against righties. Cincinnati lineup rolls out today. Joey Votto, Nyquin, Moustakas, the only lefties in the lineup. Well, Moustakas and Nyquin are striking out at 26 to 28% clips this season. And then just not a ton of power with these righties. Yeah, this game's in Yankee Stadium, but I mean, there's a reason that the Yankees are like a 3 implied team total higher than the Cincinnati Reds today.
Yeah, Severino is the other guy that I would put. He's not quite in that top tier with the 3 that we've talked about, but he's extremely close. And it's because of the Reds' offense. They're just not a talented offense, and they're very right-handed heavy. 6 righties in there, like you mentioned. Severino's strikeout splits are very drastic this season: 34.5% to righties, 19% to lefties. That's a huge advantage for him. Just having to face the 3 lefties. You worry a little bit about the pitch count and not quite being at the 30+% strikeouts that we see, but I think there's a nice ownership discount on him. I could absolutely see him getting up into that 9-10 range of strikeouts that I think you're going to need. Like, this is only the 4th pitcher we've talked about. All 4 of them absolutely have double-digit strikeout upside. I think if you're playing a pitcher on the slate that doesn't have that double-digit upside, that you're going to be hurting at the end of the night. Like, there's all kinds of upside in the pitching tiers tonight, and Severino is right up there, not quite top tier, but very close to it for me.
Yeah. I mean, just in general, like there's just so much ceiling today. And like we had someone in chat ask us about the pitchers in the Cubs game. And at the end of the day, I just don't think you need them today. Like we have plenty of cheap bats that we're going to talk about when we go position by position. But I mean, you need the ceiling. One other name that I'm going to throw out there today is John Gray. John Gray has shown that like the strikeout stuff might actually be back and legit. And he faces the worst offense in baseball tonight. This lineup rolled out, and I was like, all right, typical Oakland lineup. Like, here we go with John Gray. He's that like 7K option that can get you, 8 to 10 strikeouts. What are your thoughts on John Gray?
Yeah, I'm very interested in Gray as well. Fanduel, he's priced up a little bit. He's kind of in that same range. He's at 9K on Fanduel, which is right next to Severino and Ohtani. Because of the matchup, he's still in the conversation, even on Fanduel. On DraftKings, that savings down to 7.7K, I think is phenomenal, and he's an excellent option on DraftKings. FanDuel, he's more of a game theory type tournament play. On DraftKings, he's going to be very much in my pool. I'm going to have a lot of exposure. This Oakland team just does not offer any type of a challenge. Their strikeouts aren't horrible, but they don't offer any upside or any, like, there's no power in the entire lineup. So they're like, Gray struggles with fly balls and home runs. There's no threat of that today here, really. So Gray should be able to pitch deep into games. He's got a long leash, and he's flashed the strikeout upside. So I think with this very weak offense that he's facing, he absolutely has the same upside as some of these other guys.
He's that guy, I think. Like, obviously, Lucas Giolito is in this price range as well, and we know Lucas Giolito, big strikeout guy, especially kind of reverse splits to lefties this year. There's a lot of lefties in that Cleveland lineup today. It's just Cleveland doesn't strike out a ton. They put the ball in play a lot. They walk a lot. They're very patient offense. Where do you have Giolito today? Is he someone that's in your player pool, or are you just staying away from him?
He's in the pool, but I don't love the matchup. Cleveland has the lowest strikeout rate in baseball. It does help that he's facing a few more lefties here. It wouldn't surprise me to see him outscore Gray, but I think it's unlikely. I will definitely have more Gray, despite the ownership numbers there. Like, Giolito's ownership is why I'm keeping him in the pool. I think most people are playing Gray ahead of Giolito because Gray is facing the worst offense. Giolito has kind of been up and down this year too. Like, he just hasn't been as consistent as we've seen in the past, and this matchup makes it really tough to click his name above Gray. But because of that ownership number, he's definitely going to be in there.
We had a couple questions in chat. We have a ton of time today, so I don't mind talking questions here. Thoughts on Adam Wainwright going up against the Dodgers?
This slate, I just don't see the upside. Like, Wainwright is probably not going out there and striking out 8 or 9 tonight, and I think that's what you need from your pitcher. I'm going to spend up to that top tier as much as I can, the top 3 in particular. I'm going to have a ton of Severino. We just talked about two of the cheaper guys. Like, Giolito or Wainwright, I suppose, is the question here of who you're keeping in the pool. Giolito with the low strikeout opponent versus Wainwright with the very dangerous Dodgers opponent. I think I would lean to Giolito and just think that his strikeout stuff could play up against Cleveland, and maybe he can rack up the Ks. Wainwright just doesn't have enough upside on this slate for me. You need a big scorer pitcher today for sure.
Best hitting conditions on the slate, St. Louis. I really like the Dodgers today as far as the bats go. So I think I'm going to stay away from Wainwright. He's allowed 6 home runs over his last 4 starts. Last 4 starts. So I think this is a spot to stay away from Wainwright. The other question was Aaron Savelli going up against the White Sox. You know, this lineup that they rolled out there today, name-wise, is solid. Numbers-wise, low walks, not a ton of power. Savelli is a dude that gives up so many fly balls, and when you have an average hit distance of like 227, it's really hard for me to get excited about playing you with so many great pitchers on the slate.
Yeah, another guy that just doesn't have the upside today. The White Sox don't strike out very much. They're getting healthier. Eloy being back in that lineup is a big deal. I'm paying up for the big strikeout upside. So guys with low strikeout totals like Wainwright and Savelli, just they're not cracking the pool today for me.
But we'll talk about bats when we get there, but I don't think the Dodgers are going to be popular at all today because they're so expensive and pitching is so premium today that I think the Dodgers are just going to be one of those teams that don't get a ton of love for what it's worth. So just to kind of touch on that, someone asked, is there any pitchers? I think we kind of covered everybody here. Do you have any interest in either of the pitchers pitching in that Wrigley game?
I don't. Steele's price is just way too high. He has flashed some strikeout upside. Baltimore has struck out a ton against left-handers. like a guy like Justin Steele, who has struggled with his command. The strikeouts have been hit or miss. I'm just not chasing on a slate like this where there are so many great options. And Watkins on the other side, I think he's a fraud. That like he's had some good results, but I'm more interested in the Cubs bats than playing Spencer Watkins. There's just no strikeout upside there. I know the wind's blowing in a little bit. That probably helps mitigate the home run threat against him. But again, just another guy with not enough upside to crack my pool on the slate.
You can be picky on this slate. I mean, at the end of the day, you can really be picky. You know, I think like cash games, the build is very simple. You play Yankees and Padres, and you try to get 2 stud pitchers.
Yep.
Whoever you want to pick. I mean, my preference would probably be John Gray, McClanahan, Javier type guys, Otani. But yeah, I think that's it. Any interest in Winchowski against Tampa here? I don't know if this is necessarily the slate to use him. I mean, some slates this week he probably would have been very playable, but I don't think it's this one.
Yeah, I agree. On a different slate, I would have interest in a lot of these guys down here, including guys like Watkins that we just talked about. But like with so much upside amongst the top guys tonight, I'm going to be spending up as much as possible. I think it's absolutely pitching first for me on this slate. The Padres are not even an expensive offense, so like there's enough options at pitching where I feel comfortable going off the board a little bit with somebody like Giolito or Severino. Like I think that differentiates you enough that you can still play Padres with guys like those.
All right. I think we covered everything on the pitching side. If anyone has any questions, YouTube chat it up with us over there. Also, make sure you're hitting the like and subscribe button over there. Help us out. Sum up pitching. I know there's a ton of options today. Sum up pitching. Just go for it.
Yeah, absolutely loaded at the top. McClanahan, Otani, and Javier, massive strikeout upside. They are a very clear top 3 for me. I will have tons of exposure to all 3 of them. If I had to rank them just based on price, I would go Otani, Javier, McClanahan. But it is extremely close. No real differentiation there. I wouldn't argue with anybody having one of the other 3 guys ranked at the top. John Gray is my favorite way to save money on DK, especially. Luis Severino is kind of in that very next tier down, very close to the top tier, but just not quite there. You can put Zach Wheeler right there with Severino. And then Giolito is kind of the pivot off of John Gray that makes sense to me. That's really the pool today. I think there's so much upside amongst that group there. There's enough of them in there that I can mix and match and get different where I need to. It's an incredibly strong pitching group, and I'm not getting much different than that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much more to add. I think John Gray is a fantastic point per dollar play if you're wanting an expensive offense instead of playing like the cheap Padres. So I think he's very much in play. Let's talk some bats before we go position by position. Looking at the slate overview here, you know, we have the Yankees in a fantastic spot. We have the Padres in a fantastic spot. And then I feel like it kind of dips a little bit after we get past those 2 offenses. And I think those are going to be your very chalky type of offenses. What are you looking at here? Who do you have as stacks that you are looking at before we go position by position?
Yeah, the Padres and the Yankees are very clearly the top 2. You're running into some ownership there, absolutely. So I think it is good to get away from that a little bit. Colorado is interesting to me. Musgrove is a very good pitcher, but it's Coors Field. I think just because of the ownership, I'm willing to take some shots there. Anybody can get blown up in Coors. Musgrove relies on a curveball quite a bit, so Colorado is interesting. I prefer them against lefties, but Coors Field, I'm going to stack some Rockies today. Texas might be my favorite off the board stack. Paul Blackburn is a guy who's been pretty good this year, but doesn't strike out a ton of guys. Texas lefties in particular. I mean, Corey Seeger is just absolutely on fire. There's some cheap lefties that I can play as well. His name is escaping me. The third baseman shortstop guy. Yeah, Smith. Cole Calhoun is cheap, so I like the way that Texas sets up. Let's see here. Toronto is intriguing. Wheeler is obviously absolutely elite, but Toronto has some upside bats that I don't mind targeting. And you talked about the Dodgers. I like the Dodgers a good amount. Wainwright, I think, is a pretty good pitcher as well, but the Dodgers just a ton of talent in that lineup. I think they can get to anyone. Great hitting weather there today as well.
The flip side of that Toronto game, I don't mind Philly today. Stripling is someone gives up a ton of hard contact to righties. Two of the best hitters in that lineup is Hoskins, Castellanos. Schwarber can take anybody deep. So I don't know if I full stack Philadelphia today, but I mean, I definitely like that, like 3 or 4 right off the top of the lineup there with Hall, Castellanos, Hoskins, and Schwarber. So we'll talk about those guys as we're going, but the Dodgers are the different stack for me today. I really don't think a lot of people are going to play them. They have a ton of power. And man, like I said, this is some of the best hitting conditions on the slate as far as weather is concerned. So, it's hot in St. Louis. It gets a nice little bump on Weather Edge where a lot of games are getting downgrades, especially that Wrigley game, 21% down home runs. We see that anytime we're getting wind blowing in a Wrigley. It's a very wind-sensitive ballpark. So if the wind wasn't a factor in that Cubs game, I think both of those offenses are 2 offenses we'd be talking about more today.
Yeah, definitely. I actually still have a little interest. The wind definitely hurts the upside. But both of these pitchers are guys that can give up fly balls and home runs. The Weather Edge stuff has me a little concerned, and I've kind of I was on it pretty heavily this morning. My interest has waned a little bit as the day has rolled on, but I think both of these offenses are still very much in play.
And it's kind of why I like the Dodgers today, right? Because when we're looking for overall ceiling, the Dodgers can hit 5 or 6 home runs in any game against any pitcher. And you might need that tonight with the Yankees in the spot they're in against Mike Minor in Yankee Stadium. You might need that with San Diego and Coors. So someone in chat Frank asked us, what about Tampa Bay going up against Winchowski? My issue with Winchowski is this dude generates some of the highest soft contact in baseball. He is very good at generating soft contact with his like sinker slider combo that he uses. So I don't think I stacked Tampa today. I wouldn't talk you off of maybe like a 3-man stack or like a 2-man stack of them, but I don't think I full stack Tampa today.
Yeah, really tough ballpark for home runs in particular. That's a big downgrade. And they also are without their 2 best hitters in Wander Franco and Brandon Lau. So not a super talented offense. A lot of strikeouts against righties as well. Like there's some value bats. I don't mind a Choi Ramirez, like the top of the order that's in the 3K range on DraftKings is fine. Aranda's a decent prospect around the minimum price. Paredes has had a really good season. I don't love the full stack. It's primarily the ballpark that's chasing me away, and just not having their 2 best hitters in there leaves you looking for a little upside there. There's just not enough. But I'm agreeing with you that I could be on board with the 3-man of like Choi, Paredes, Aranda type of thing.
Josh Lowe is really cheap on DraftKings. If you need some value off of some chalky value, I don't think he's the worst option. Before we go into catcher and start breaking this down, if you haven't already, go over to scoresandodds.com, #1 place for all things sports betting. If you are used to a lot of us over here at RotoGrinders and you appreciate the information that we're giving out each and every day, we use that information and the data that we've learned doing DFS to make smart choices for sports betting. There's a summer special running over there on Scores and Odds right now, right there in the middle of the page, right when you go on Scores and Odds, $9.99 for your first month. It's not sports. It's everything. It's not just, you just get MLB. No, you get everything. So we're crushing it. I think the last time I checked, us MLB guys are up like 47 units on prop picks this season. So that is DFS using our knowledge to the right way. So if you haven't checked out Scores and Odds, do that. Like I said, there's a special right now going on. First month for $9.99. Keith does a lot over there. So yeah, I would say I do a lot, but I don't. I need to probably do more. But yeah, I work a lot. So all right.
Yeah.
Let's
it's great stuff over there. I mean, if you guys aren't signed up, you really need to be. Grant's crushing home run picks. Luch is doing a ton of stuff with home runs and strikeouts as well. I've got strikeout props up there almost every day. And a lot of other guys contributing it as well. So just really great stuff going on over there for sure.
All right, let's talk catcher. We're seeing some decent projected ownership for Wilson Contreras, and I don't know if I necessarily technically agree with that. I do think Higgs from New York is going to get pretty highly owned here at 2.9K facing the lefty in that offense. What do you like here at catcher today?
Yeah, Contreras is expensive, so I was a little bit surprised at that ownership as well. I think Alfaro is very clearly the cash option at 3,700 in Coors Field, probably batting in the middle of the lineup. Will Smith is an option that intrigues me very much. A little bit underpriced, great hitting weather there today in St. Louis, and probably just one of the best hitters at the catcher position. Certainly interested in him. You mentioned Higashioka. I like him against a lefty anytime. A ton of power there. He's really cheap. Jonah Heim is for Texas is a guy that I'm going to play a little bit. Elias Diaz, just because he's in Coors, don't love the matchup against Musgrove, but low owned Rockies. I'm going to be on board. He'll be part of the Rockies stacks. Yeah, I think that about Alejandro Kirk maybe. I mentioned Blue Jays a little bit. I don't absolutely love them, but I think you can target them a little bit today.
Yeah, Stubbs in that Philly lineup batting ninth. Wish he was hitting a little bit better, but the guy that I really wanted to bring up here is Will Smith. I'm going to mention Dodgers the whole time we do this, just so you all know. But when we're looking for upside, you have to look at the Dodgers. And yeah, I mean, he's kind of expensive, but there's so much value today. We're going to talk about a ton of value, even at pretty much every position. So, I mean, I like the spot for Will Smith. We did have a question. Do you like Heim or Lowe to finish your Texas stack?
Nate Lowe is on my list. I had a really good Texas stack last night. Nate Lowe put up a goose egg. I finished like 20th in a tournament with his 0 in there. So I'm going to go Jonah Heim. I think just filling the catcher position with the stack is something I always like to do. I'm fine with either one of them. I love Texas lefties today, so both are guys I'm playing heavily.
Hitting fifth too, good lineup spot for Heim. So I'm with you. I like filling out my stacks with catchers as well. All right, going over to first base. I mean, we have a 2K Eric Hosmer, assuming that he's in the lineup. That lineup's not out yet. I expect him to be the chalkiest owned first baseman today, just ridiculously cheap against Chad Kuhl and Coors. What do you like at first base tonight?
Yeah, the Padres guys are the first look. Hosmer's that price is ridiculous. Luke Voigt is underpriced as well at 3,800. Really like Rhys Hoskins. We've mentioned Phillies. They are a stack I'm interested in today. Freddie Freeman certainly going to be in play. Get a little different from there. Rizzo in the lefty-lefty matchup I'm fine with. Goldschmidt is having a phenomenal season. Gonsolin has pitched a little bit above his head this season, so I don't mind Goldschmidt. Vladdy is a guy you can always play. Josh Naylor has had a pretty good season here for Cleveland. I'm interested in him a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's Connor Joe, one more I want to mention. And did CJ Cron not make the lineup? I'm not seeing CJ Cron for some reason.
Yeah, so someone just said San Diego lineup is out. I dropped my phone this morning and cracked my screen, and it's green. And then I went to get a new phone, and they didn't have the one I wanted, so I have to wait for it tomorrow. So I'm not seeing the RG updates today, so I just refreshed lineup HQ. I see the San Diego lineup is out. No Luke Voigt in the lineup.
Yep, just saw that as well.
That just means the ownership for Eric Hosmer is going to be even higher.
Yep.
He's going to be massive chalk today. Freddie Freeman is just the guy. I love Freddie Freeman today. And I like Rizzo a lot. Lefty. I don't love lefties against Mike Minor because he is really good, but a lot of people are going to stack New York today, and a lot of people are going to pair New York with San Diego and play Hosmer at 2K. So one of the easiest ways to make your New York San Diego stacks different, I'm not saying it's a bad idea to play those two stacks together, is go Rizzo at first base at 5.2 instead of paying Hosmer at 2K. So just wanted to throw that out there. I think that's one way to make your Yankees Padres stacks a little different. But I love Freddie Freeman today. He's one of my home run calls that we're going to have later on in the show. I think Freddie takes Wainwright deep in this game, so really like him. He's faced him a ton of times too. Like it's a lot, so that's always kind of a plus. But I think first base is actually pretty straightforward today. Choi is cheap. You could potentially go him. Nate Lowe against Blackburn. We talked about that. Josh Naylor against Giolito. He has some power against the righty if you want to, play the odds on taking some of that. But listen, the chalk is Eric Hosmer.
For sure.
Grant wants me to say whispering eye. Is that like an inside eyes joke or?
I have no idea.
Oh, I have to know. Oh man, Genie, what are you even doing in YouTube right now, my friend?
Isn't he on a honeymoon or something?
Oh geez. All right, I'm out. This is why I don't read YouTube chat. There you go. Grant, you win. Why are you even on YouTube? You need to go. Aren't you supposed to be like on a cruise or something? Like,
yeah.
Go, be gone. Go give out some turd bums. All right, let's talk second base. Second base. Cronenworth and Torres, I think, are going to eat up a lot of ownership at second base today. What are you looking at here at second base?
Yeah, absolutely love those two. They are going to be popular. Cronenworth, especially being in Coors, has absolutely smashed in this series as well. Had the lefty matchup last game, but the first game he had a really big day as complete chalk. See that setting up similarly here on this slate. Glaber is a very nice pivot as well. He has absolutely smashed left-handed pitching this season. LeMahieu is a nice pivot as well. Not quite as much power there, but hitting at the top of the order, plenty of upside for him as well. I'm going to play some Semien in my Rangers stacks. Max Muncy is still way underpriced on FanDuel, especially. He's all the way down to the 7 hole now, so I don't think anybody's really playing Max Muncy. He's one of my favorite options here. I mentioned Aranda in a Tampa Bay stack just because of the minimum price. I'm on board with that. Brendan Rodgers in Coors Field, certainly in play. And I'll have a little bit of Tommy Edman as well at the top of the Cardinals lineup.
Yeah. Someone in chat just said the Yankees are going to be underowned. That's not the truth. The Yankees are going to be top 2 in ownership tonight, without a doubt. I think the Padres and the Yankees are
that
very
team totals at 6. People pay attention to team totals. That's a big old number there.
Marcus Semien against Blackburn in that Texas stack. I think that is, something you have to kind of look at here. Cheap wise, that's where I'm struggling. Is I think second base is a position that I probably spend up for. Is there anything on like the cheap end that stands out to you at all?
I mentioned Aranda for the Rays. Yeah, like pretty decent prospect. Taylor Walls is also near minimum price. I don't mind that one. But yeah, I think honestly Cronenworth and Torres have a ton of upside. I like Semien as the pivot. LeMahieu is in the pool, and Muncy as well as a loaned option that I absolutely love. But I think there's a lot of upside actually here at second base. It's traditionally, like, the last couple of weeks has been a really weak position. But with Cronenworth in the spot he's in, Torres in the spot he's in, I think there's actually quite a bit of upside here at second.
Just want to circle back really quick to San Diego. We talked about the catchers. Nola is catching instead of Alfaro today. So just wanted to, we already talked about catchers. Just wanted to circle back to that really quick. I'm guessing you have interest in Austin Nola, 2.8K. He is hitting 8th. He's just cheap, but he's in Coors.
Yeah, absolutely have interest in Coors. Preferred Alfaro, so kind of a bummer that he's not in that lineup, but yeah, Nola's still absolutely fine.
Yeah, I mean, that puts both cheap catchers kind of in the same price. Higgs is 2.9K. Nola's 2.8K. I think a really interesting pivot is going up to Heim at 3.6K. You talked about him when you were talking about catchers, and, you know, we do like Texas. But, again, my favorite catcher today, I'm actually spending up, Will Smith. I really like him today. All right, hot corner time, third base. I mean, we're going to continue the trend of, you know, San Diego players. You have Manny Machado. He is the most expensive third baseman today. You have Josh Donaldson going up against Mike Minor, batting 6th for the Yankees today. I think those are your two chalky third base plays. I think Jose Ramirez gets some ownership against Giolito. What do you like here at third base today?
Yep, Machado very clearly the top option. Definitely want to get to him a bunch. Really like Ryan McMahon on the other side of that game. Just been kind of a down season for him, but anytime he's in Coors against a righty, I'm going to play a little bit. I love Donaldson for the Yankees against the lefty. Just a great spot for him. Probably hits a home run today. Muncy does have third base eligibility. Talked about him a lot at second. Ha-Seong Kim has third base eligibility. He's down in the 6 hole, so unfortunately not leading off, but still underpriced on DraftKings. In Coors Field, absolutely in play. Justin Turner hitting 5th, like him. Patrick Wisdom is one of my favorite Cubs bats. We talked about liking that spot a little bit, downgraded slightly because of the wind blowing in, but Wisdom is a guy with massive power. He can hit it through any wind. Like him a ton. Probably my favorite Cubs bat. Moncada is underpriced. I really like him as a value play. And Josh Smith, the Rangers guy, leading off. Just absolutely love this spot for him. He's shown quite a bit of talent. Love him in the leadoff spot and targeting those Texas lefties quite a bit today.
So Grant said him and Dean are sitting on the couch together, probably holding hands, watching us. So everyone watching at home is very, I mean, they're very excited that Dean's not here with that stash. Hopefully, like, I know Dean was like growing it out as like a wedding gift to Grant, but hopefully like part of that gift is like Grant getting to like shave it off, because I really hope that he doesn't come back to Florida with that thing. It is rough. It's rough. You know, how bad does Dean have to feel too? Like sitting next to Grant with Grant's like gorgeous beard and like he has that like whatever thing on his like lip. That's rough. But
I don't like it's so bad that it's almost good at this point for Dean. Like,
no, it's terrible.
He might just stick with it. Who knows?
I mean, listen, you do you, Dean. You do you. I will say, Moncada and Smith, two cheap options you could potentially use at third base. But you brought up Kim being third base eligible. If you want to make your San Diego stack different tonight, I'm not saying this is the smartest idea, but play Kim at third and play I can't think of his name at shortstop. Abram at shortstop. And your San Diego stack, you can play whatever you want with that stack because it won't have Machado. Still gives you the potential of playing, 5 San Diego bats. And if you want to go 3 Yankees or something, it's just a way to make your San Diego stack different than others tonight. I'm not saying it's the smartest idea, but at the end of the day, if you're trying to build a unique San Diego team, that might be one way to do it. Wraparound stacks too are always something you could potentially look at now with like that Nola batting in that 8th spot. That potentially opens up like a wraparound stack for your San Diego stack as well. But listen, I love Max Muncy today. We talked about him at second base, but again, love the Dodgers today. This is, I think, a great spot for them. All right, let's go to shortstop. CJ Abrams, I just got done talking about him. He's another 2K San Diego guy in Coors facing the righty there. He's going to have some pretty decent ownership. We got Corey Seeger, who is just the hottest hitter in baseball right now against Paul Blackburn. Seager's still not getting a ton of ownership. I feel like people are just like, all right, we missed the boat. He's not going to keep doing it. And he just keeps doing it. Home runs now in 5 straight, 6 of his last 7 games going up against Blackburn here. He has that ceiling and that upside to continue this streak. What do you like here at shortstop?
Yeah, the Padres guys are clearly the top 2, both very nice prices there. Abrams down in the 7 hole, completely fine with that, near minimum price. Kim very much in play in the 6 hole as well. Love Seeger. Dude's just been incredible. It's 5 homers in his last 6 games or something like that. Incredible. 4 in a row, I believe. It's just an insane run he's been on against a low strikeout pitcher in Blackburn. One of my favorite plays on the slate. Trey Turner obviously in play as well. We've been talking about Dodgers all show. Absolutely love him. Tim Anderson against the low strikeouts of Savali. Not a guy that strikes out anyway. So he's definitely going to be putting the ball in play. Like his upside today. Jose Iglesias in Coors, along with Garrett Hampson, who is very cheap. I think you could play either of the Rockies guys here. Mention Edman at second. Don't mind him today. And Nico Horner has had a really good year. The price on him has come up a little bit, but he's hitting the ball decently. I like some Cubs today.
Excuse me. I can't mute my mic as fast on this new platform that we use instead of the one that I'm used to for the podcast. But I think Abrams is very interesting. I like Seeger. I like Turner a lot. Again, I like the Dodgers. This is a spot I'm going to be overweight on the Dodgers tonight for sure. Tim Anderson against Seville. I don't mind the White Sox. Horner. The win concerns me a little bit about Horner, but I do think he's playable in that like mid tier. We talked about Kim at third base. You can play him at shortstop as well. The only other name that I wanted to throw out there is Didi, batting 7th. Don't love the lineup spot, but I like picking on Ross Stripling, so I don't mind maybe like a little Didi there. He's going to be less than 5% owned. I think Hampson will get some ownership against Musgrove. I know you like the Rockies a little bit. Let's go over to outfield. No Trout. That Angels lineup just rolled out. No Trout. We kind of expected that. I think even more of a bump to Javier tonight. But, when we're looking at outfield tonight, there is so many plays. You got Judge, you got Stanton in that game. You got Mazzara and Gresham hitting 1 and 4, both under 3K, going up against Chad Kuhl. Talk to me here about some outfielders. I probably just named the 4 chalkiest outfielders on the slate.
Yeah, absolutely. The 2 Yankees and the 2 Padres absolutely going to have a ton of ownership. Like the Padres guys are just so cheap, hitting in the top of the lineup. Like it's really hard to get away from that. Chad Kuhl is somebody who has struggled against lefties his entire career. So Grisham and Mazzara are just like, I want to say get different. They're carrying too much ownership, but the pricing on them makes it really difficult to get away from them. Judge and Stanton have a ton of upside today. Mentioned the struggles of Minor with right-handed power. Obviously, 2 of the absolute best right-handed power bats in the game. All 4 of them are absolutely phenomenal. You're going to need some exposure. I'm usually fine saying you can fade any hitter in baseball, but these 4 in particular today are just like absolutely phenomenal plays. I'll try to find I'll make sure I'm playing a different pitcher or a different secondary stack when they're in my lineups, but having a really, really difficult time fading them today. When I am looking to get different, the 2 Rockies guys I like a ton, Charlie Blackmon and Sam Hilliard. Hilliard is near minimum price. Cracked the lineup today. Seiya Suzuki for the Cubs. If Wisdom isn't my favorite Cub, it's going to be Suzuki. Guy with a lot of power, just like his spot here against Watkins and his struggles with right-handed power. Just sets up great today. Franmil Reyes is a guy that I'll be playing. Giolito has reverse splits as well. Franmil has also been kind of a reverse splits guy in his career. Actually has a higher ISO against righties, I believe. So like this matchup for Franmil Reyes a good amount. Schwarber, you can certainly play in any matchup. That price tag is up there, but totally fine paying for him today. Joey Gallo, lefty is a way to make your Yankee stack different. If they get to minor and knock him out in say the 4th or 5th inning, he gets a couple at bats off of the bullpen. So like that is a low owned option in your Yankee stacks. Talked about Eloy Jimenez. I like his matchup today here against Savali. Just a lot of really great options. Luis Robert as well for the White Sox in a great spot. Tons of options here in the outfield today.
One other like minimum salary guy I'll throw out there is Nolan Jones. Big prospect, has shown a lot of power since getting called up. He's 2K, hitting 6 today for the Indians. So just wanted to throw that name out there as well. Hillard, man, he's 2K. I mean, there's so many good cheap outfielders today. It's crazy how much value we have on a 9-game slate. But I said Indians again? I've done that like at least 3 or 4 times this week. And I was doing good. Like I was, Dean goes on vacation. I have to host 2 shows in a week, and plus all the podcasts. Like it's gonna eventually happen. But
it's so hard when you do this for so long and do it as often as we do. We're talking about these teams every day for years as one name, and then all of a sudden it switches on us. It's hard to adapt to. So you definitely get a pass here.
It's like what's funny to me is it's like when the Washington football team was the worst.
Yeah, agreed.
And I'm definitely gonna mess them up a couple times this year. I'm
still gonna be calling them the football team, and now it's Commanders, and it's changing again. So
gotta love it, right?
Yep.
I mean, you nailed a lot of the outfielders. I just want to throw out there, I like Mookie Betts a lot tonight. He's projecting for less than 3% ownership, and again, I love the Dodgers, man. If they go off, I hope I have a chance and like I nail the pitching on the Dodgers stacks. But I love the Dodgers. If you're just now tuning in, I think this is the best hitting conditions on the slate. Coors has good hitting conditions as well, but Adam Wainwright, not typically a guy like to pick on, but he has been giving up a ton of home runs, and I mean, it's a lot of it has to do with being super hot in St. Louis. So we did have a question about a stack. Totally lost it. Favorite stack for Fanduel single entry. What would you say?
Favorite is tough because the Yankees and Padres are so far ahead of the field today that I'm still playing a ton of them. I will go Yankees as my favorite overall, just with slightly less ownership than the Padres. If you're looking for something to get a little bit different and off the board, I'll go Rangers.
All right, I like that. I mean, I think it's very clear at this point who I'm going to say. It's the Dodgers.
Yep.
So I like the Dodgers a lot. If you guys have any questions, we got about 20 minutes before the crunch time crew hops in here and kind of kicks us out, so we can answer some questions. We'll talk some stacks here in a second. We'll do steal the 1 for 5 thing from Dean and talk some stacks. So if you want us to rank some stacks 1 to 5, we'll do that as well. But yeah, I mean, this slate, even going through it again, like a whole slate breakdown for the second time today, I think we're going to see a lot of ownership on the Padres. We're going to see a lot of ownership on the Yankees. And anything outside of those 2 teams is going to be fair game.
Yep. I mean, I completely agree with that. I think you're plenty different. Like it just fade Yankees and Padres. You're very different for sure. They're in great spots. I'm having difficulty with the fade today. The numbers are there for them. The Padres being a lot of the great values as well, particularly in the outfield. And then the Yankees just with the massive upside. Like if Judge or Stanton doesn't hit a home run today, I'd be very surprised.
All right, let's do some home run calls, and then we'll get into some stacks. Try to give me 3 home runs, maybe a high tier, mid tier, and maybe a value home run.
All right. Let's see here. I'm gonna go mid tier. I'm gonna go Gleyber Torres. Like the way he sets up here today. Been really good against lefties, as I mentioned. Let's see. Give me Rhys Hoskins. Both of those are kind of upper to mid tier. But I like Hoskins today. And a cheap guy. Let's go Jonah Heim for the Rangers.
Yeah, I like that. I already said my expensive home run today was Freddie Freeman. I like him a lot to hit a home run. Outside of that, I'll go my mid tier. I don't want to take 2 Dodgers, and I didn't want to take a Padres bat. So give me a Yankee. I will take. You took Torres, right?
Yep.
Of course you did. I'll take. I'm going to give 2 cheap home runs. I'm going to take Higgs as a home run for the Yankees tonight, and I'm going to take Yohan Moncada hits a home run off of Sevilla tonight as a cheap bet.
Like that.
Roop open for Texas. I don't know. I have not checked that. I'll look really quick. Let's see. Someone asked, what are your thoughts on the Reds today?
Not loving them. Severino, really tough pitcher, just not a great offense.
Great bullpen too.
Yeah, Yankees. Yeah, absolutely, and that's always in play. Like it's hard to stack against the Yankees with that bullpen. Yeah, just not on the Reds.
Yeah, if the Reds beat me tonight, they beat me and I move on. I mean, it's so hard on even like a 9-game slate to stack against a good bullpen, and I mean, Houston and the Yankees are the 2 best bullpens in baseball this season by a pretty large margin. After that, I think it's Detroit. That's the only reason that they're not like uber bad is because their bullpen's so good. And it's one of the reasons that Baltimore has been winning games here recently because they're actually a top 5 bullpen this year. So the teams that I typically want to attack is Cincinnati. They have the worst bullpen in baseball. Granted, that is just an amazing, even more amazing for the Yankees tonight because they're getting Minor and then they're getting the worst bullpen in baseball. The Cubs have a terrible bullpen. The Rockies have a terrible bullpen. Kansas City and Pittsburgh have terrible bullpens. So those are bullpens that I like to target. And then the Oakland bullpen recently has been atrocious. So there you go. There's some bullpen stats for you. Top 5 bullpens are Houston, New York, Detroit, Atlanta, and Baltimore. So, all right, let's talk some stacks. Again, we got about 15 minutes before the crunch time crew gets here today. 9-game slate, so we have all the time in the world to answer questions. If you haven't already, make sure you check out the like button over there on YouTube. Check it out, hit it, and help us out. So where are we at? We're at 49 likes. You guys get to 75 likes over on YouTube by the time we finish. I will make a 3-for-3 prize picks for you to make money tonight. So there you go.
Good deal.
I haven't even looked at prize picks today, but all right, we agree. Like Padres, Yankees, they're both top stacks. Like no doubt about it, right?
Yep, absolutely. Very clear top 2.
All right, so outside of that, we'll take this one first. 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best of what your interests for them are. We'll start here with the question that we just got in chat. What are your thoughts on Baltimore?
I am interested. I like the way they set up against a lefty. Hayes, Mancini, Mountcastle, Rutschman's been really good here. The win concerns me a little bit, so I've downgraded them a little bit throughout the day. But I do like the matchup against Steele. I think they set up well, so I'll go a 3.5 for them.
All right. I mean, that's higher than me. I'd probably rank them as like a 2 if the wind wasn't blowing in and it wouldn't be such a huge factor. I would probably go higher than that, but I don't like the O's today. The next one we had is your Cubbies. What are your thoughts on the Cubs today?
Yeah, very similar to Baltimore. Like, again, a stack I really liked. It's kind of an off the board stack at the beginning of the day. Have kind of faded on it a little bit. They're at like same range as Baltimore for me, 3.5.
Fair enough. We are at almost 60 likes now. 15 more likes. I'll give a 3 for 3 over there on Prize Picks. I'm gonna have the Cubs as a 2 as well today. I don't like that game. I don't like playing wind blowing in at Wrigley, and 12 miles an hour is a lot. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it really is for that ballpark. Before we get into our next stack, we had a question in chat. All right, well, let's do a couple more stacks, and then we got like 4 or 5 questions, and then we'll get into those. What are your thoughts here on the White Sox?
I mean, they're just an offense that I've struggled with all season. I like the matchup against Savali. He's not a huge strikeout pitcher. They should be better than they have been all season. But when you break it down and look at the stats for them, like it's been a really rough season for them. So not at the top of my list. I think getting Jimenez back is a big deal that helps them. Moncada is kind of turning it around, and I do like the pricing on them a fair amount. They're just kind of a middle of the road stack for me though. 2.5. I'll go.
I think I would say, like, as a full stack, I'd probably say like 2. As a mini stack, I'd probably put them at like a 4. I think that's where you would target the White Sox the most today, is like more of like a mini stack, because they do have some good pricing. And the talent is there. The talent is there. There's so much talent in this lineup. They could be like one of those teams that were like, oh man, look at the White Sox in the second half of the season. They're smashing because they're getting healthy. We know the talent's there. And once you get a healthier lineup too, it's so much harder to pitch around, certain guys, and it just makes the lineup harder to beat in general. 2 more stacks I'm going to throw at you here. Philadelphia going up against Ross Stripling.
Yeah, one of my favorite ways to get different tonight. Stripling's been okay, but Philly has a lot of talent. I really like the big bats in Schwarber and Hoskins. Castellanos has struggled a little bit this season, but interested there as well. I'll go 4 on Philly. I think there's plenty of upside here against Stripling.
All right, and the last one, just because it was a question in chat a couple times now, we are 5 likes away. You want a 3 for 3 Prize Picks from me? I will give it 5 more likes over there on YouTube. The last one was Houston.
I'm not picking on Ohtani. The strikeout stuff is so good. He works himself out of plenty of jams, even if he's struggling. Watered down without Alvarez and Brantley in there. So I'm not on Houston today. I'll go 1.
I'm with you. I don't mind ever chasing home runs, but with Alvarez not in that lineup, it's such a huge hit to that lineup in general. So we did get to 75 likes over there on YouTube. Appreciate everyone hitting that like button. Subscribe as well. That way you can get it as soon as it comes up. But here's my 3 for 3 on Prize Picks. I'm playing this as a power play. I'm going all in on this one. I'm going John Gray over 6.5 strikeouts. I think that's like minus 130 or 140 on most sports books. I really like John Gray to hit that number tonight. And then I'm going to go total bases over 1.5 for Freddie Freeman and over 1.5 for Aaron Judge as my 3 for 3 Prize Picks today. I have those mixed in on a bunch of 4 for 4s and 5 for 5s as well, but those are my 3 favorite picks over there on Prize Picks today. Hopefully that hits. And, whether you play it as a flex or a power play gets you 5X. So that would be a good little 5X for just hitting a little like button over there on YouTube. We got a few questions here. We got about 10 minutes. If you guys have any questions, we'll roll here for questions for the next 10 minutes or so. I can do whatever I want because, yeah, Dean's not here. So, like, people are so used to, like, shows being so close to, like, crunch time. And, like, I don't ramble like Dean. and get way off tag, like talking bad movies, that we can answer questions and like chat gets so happy. I mean, that's why it's just, so.
No movie rankings or fruit rankings, anything like that coming from you, Stevie?
No. There's only one fruit. I mean, anything sweet is good fruit wise. I mean, there's not many fruits that I don't like. So, all right. Blue Jays as a stack single entry DraftKings. Any interest?
The stack is tough. I do have some interest. Wheeler can give up some home runs. Like their pricing makes the full stack tough, but I don't mind playing some one-offs against him. I like Kirk at catcher. I like Springer and Vlad as guys I'm chasing home runs. Just the stack is probably a 2 for me, but I do like some of their power bats as one-offs, or even pair a couple of them together.
Toronto can win any kind of slate against any kind of pitcher. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know if Zach Wheeler's the guy that I necessarily want to pick on with Toronto. He's only allowed 1 home run against right-handed hitters this season. He's elite against righties. At the end of the day, it's as simple as that. He's very good against righties. He's very good in general. Zach Wheeler was an elite pitcher with the Mets, and then he got hurt. And we're seeing, like, over the last year and a half, that he's healthy and he's still an elite pitcher. So I think today is the day I leave the Blue Jays on the shelf. And listen, I stack the Blue Jays a lot. They're my Giants this year. Like, I stacked the Giants so much last year. The Blue Jays are like that team for me this year. We did talk about Houston. Does playing Severino and Gray differentiate your San Diego, New York stacks enough in DK GPPs today?
I think it does, yeah. Severino is probably the 4th highest owned among those top guys. I think he's very clearly behind Ohtani, Javier, and McClanahan. Gray's going to carry some ownership just because of that price tag. But Severino, I think, does differentiate you enough.
I think, personally, Javier is going to be lower owned than Severino. And I actually think Javier has more ceiling than Severino. And I just refreshed our lineup HQ, and we actually have Javier for half the ownership of Severino. Severino is like a 360 favorite today, and people love Vegas. So I do think that we're going to see pretty high ownership on Severino. So I think if you want to be different in your and playing Severino is not a bad idea. I just think that if you want to be different, I think Javier has more ceiling, no Trout in the lineup, more strikeouts in the lineup, and if he is going to come in at half the ownership, I think Javier is a better option at $100 more.
I agree with that. I had not even refreshed ownership. If Javier is coming in lower owned than Severino, I'm loading up on Javier today. Love him.
We see this all the time, right? We see early pitcher, huge favorite, late pitcher. We're seeing the Yankees at 350 to 355 on most sports books right now. And the Houston game is a pick'em, the last game or second to last game on the slate. So we see this, Keith, all the time. People, they want to see their guys pitch and they want to go to sleep at night. So with a pick'em game, yeah, just people hate playing late games unless it's cores. I mean, the Dodgers are like always like one of those stacks that are just so fantastic. So, this was a question: Yankees or Padres 1 through 4 on FanDuel?
Can't go wrong either way. Just pulling up some ownership here on FanDuel. Yeah, I mean, Judge and Stanton are so highly owned that I think the Yankees have more upside just because of their home runs. We talked about the Cincinnati's horrible bullpen. I'm going Yankees. Like, Judge and Stanton are just as popular as the Padres, so it's not an ownership discount. But the home run upside from those two guys, I think, puts me slightly to the Yankees.
I have the Yankees as my top team as well, and we have some people in chat like asking us about Mike Minor and like his stats against the Yankees. And listen, I like BVP, but you also have to remember this is just not the same pitcher. Mike Minor is not the same pitcher he was even 2 or 3 years ago. His stuff is way different. He's averaging like 90 miles an hour on his fastball right now. And like, this is a dude that was throwing 93, 95 in that range when he came in the league. So he's down 3 to 5 miles an hour of velocity. And I mean, that's a huge thing. He's changed like his slider up a lot. And like, that's why he's pitching like, that's why he's limiting the damage against lefties, is because that slider that he's using more this year has been good. But he throws 55% fastballs and a little bit of changeups and sliders against righties. And the Yankees are one of the best fastball hitting teams in baseball. So overlook that old BVP stuff from Mike Minor. This dude has a 419 WOBA and a 350 ISO against righties this year for a reason. He's allowing 44% fly balls on 48% hard contact to righties. Like, don't overthink the Yankees tonight is my best advice I can give. Yeah, you have to do a little deep dive every once in a while, Keith. Like, that's the thing. Like, you know, you just can't, oh, this guy is 2 for 15 against this guy. Like, I like BVP like more than a lot of people, but I mean, this isn't the same Mike Minor.
Yeah. The fly balls, the hard contact are really important stats that you threw out there. And especially against this Yankees team in this ballpark, great park for home runs. There's going to be fly balls hit. There's a reason we were both searching for Yankees when we were making our home run calls. It's a phenomenal spot for Yankees home runs tonight.
Don't forget about the Dodgers. I really like the Dodgers. For some reason too, like even in 1 year, like Mike Minor is a guy that like has lived around 20% with his slider, and this year is like 35% or 25 to 30% most starts. So he's really changed up that, and like what I said, he's really using it a lot more against lefties, and it's not working great, but it's something. Yeah, we have a lot of people asking about the Reds tonight, man. We have so like this is like 6 or 7. I don't know why. like,
yeah, I don't get it either.
I mean, there's a little bit of power here with Stevenson, Nyquin, Votto. Dury has a little bit of power, but like, I don't think Severino is a bad pitcher. I don't think I'm missing anything on Severino. They're one of the top bullpens in baseball. I don't know why the Reds, like, we've had like 6 different people in chat today ask us about the Reds. And I mean, unless I'm like just missing something huge, like Severino's a lead against righties, and there's 6 righties in this lineup. I don't know where the Reds love is coming from today.
Their pricing, maybe like they're pretty cheap. You got India leading off at a discount. Votto is cheap. Like Naquin is fairly cheap, but yeah, I don't get it either. Severino's a really good pitcher, so I'm not on it. Like, it's not even a ballpark upgrade for them. Usually going into Yankee Stadium is a ballpark upgrade for an offense, but they play in probably a top 2 hitters park in baseball. So actually a slight downgrade for them possibly.
I would prefer Texas or Chicago White Sox if I'm looking for a cheap stack off of San Diego.
Yeah, I like Texas a ton tonight.
I almost would say like I like the Rays more than I like the Red Sox. Like, or not the Red Sox, the Reds. Stanton and Castellanos, or Judge and Eloy.
I'd go Judge and Eloy there.
Yeah, me too. I think Judge is the top hitter on the slate tonight. Like, I was supposed to be on Expert Survey today and went to Apple, and they still did not have my phone, and I couldn't check before. But gosh, it's so annoying. Like, this is what my screen looks like. It's just green. Yeah. So anyway, I would, if I was going to say who my top overall hitter today would be Judge. Like, I love this. So yeah, TJ and chat, they're about to come in here on crunch time and, you know, take over for us here. But he said 125 likes over there on YouTube, and he'll give out a Spidey bomb. His Spidey bombs are 5 for 6. I like that. So
it's like a Corey Seeger type run there.
Yeah, I know. Corey Seeger is on fire, man. And if you're just joining now, we got to 75 likes, so I gave out a 3 for 3 pick over there on Prize Picks. It was John Gray over 6.5 strikeouts, Freddie Freeman and Aaron Judge both over 1.5 total bases. Are you a total bases guy? Like, I like total bases. I mean, that to me like generates a lot to what we look at in DFS.
Yeah, I do like total bases. Grant and Luch have been so good with the home runs. I've been leaning more towards home runs this season. But yeah, total bases are absolutely one of my favorite things to bet as far as baseball props go.
Yeah, I mean, home run bets are fantastic, and that's something. But looks like we got the crunch time guys rolling in here with no host. So listen, before we get out of here, Cheese, I just have to ask you. I just want to make sure like we're not missing something. Do you like the Reds tonight?
The Reds?
Yeah, we've had like 6 people ask us about the Reds during the show.
I like them ever so slightly more than I thought I would. They're far down the list, but I'm sort of a little bit anti-Severino right now. Like, I'm a little, I don't know, concerned with what he's shown the last couple starts. I guess I kind of like them a little bit.
All right, well, like maybe we are just missing something, Keith. If you just looked at Severino versus lefties, you'd like Votto and Naquin for sure.
Yeah,
and then if you look at what has happened at the last couple starts with his swinging strikes, like it's scary. It's probably nothing. But for whatever it's worth, I have 0 Severino as pitcher tonight, which just that alone means I have to be a little interested against him.
There you go. Look, hey, thanks for joining us, Mr. Disney.
Yeah, look, I have made an appearance on Crunch Time. I'm not Kevin Roth today, so I'm excited to be here.
I mean, you guys are both pretty boys. I mean, it's not like we're missing anything here. So me and Keith are gonna get out of here. Appreciate everyone for hanging out during Grinders Live. Crunch Time's gonna take over with TJ, Cheese, and Brit. Keith, thanks for joining me. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Cheese, first off, dude, I haven't worked with you.
Yeah,
in a long time. I've been busy making small humans and doing a bunch of other things. But dude, good to be on a show with you.
Yeah, I know we haven't seen each other this year. I'm not even sure I saw you last year. I mean, maybe once, but
it's too good. We can't let the people have the best information all the time, right? So
yeah, it's too much excitement. I mean, excitement level is through the roof already. And I assume you're going to play Kirk's piano for us. For your honor, I see you have his piano in your room there.
No, this is just Dan Beck's. This is his garage in Nashville.
Excellent.
Now. So
Excellent.
I'm just hanging out in the garage here in Dan's house. TJ, what's up, dude?
Doing well. Happy to be on my second show of the day with Cheese. And we got a fun slate. I think there's a lot of ways we can get different than the field with pitching today. And we're already 30 likes away from a Spidey bomb. So hit that like button and we'll get it. We're 5 of our last 6 have hit. Come on.
Wait, 5 of the last 6 Spidey bombs have hit the home run?
Yeah.
All right, I'm opening up my Fanduel app right now, and I'm gonna have this ready without question if we're on that sort of hot streak on home runs. How does that sound?
Perfect.
Geez, I was reading through. So first off, in Kevin Roth's fashion, we don't have to worry about any weather today. So let's get that out of the way. Doesn't really seem like much. There's a little bit of wind in Wrigley, not something we're really targeting too much. Maybe some Justin Steele helps him out a little bit. If you want to read Cheese's article and you want to play magical Baltimore pitchers with the wind blowing in just a smidge, you can try to do that as well. But Cheese, as far as that, I don't really see any weather concerns. Was there anything you were looking at?
No, weather looks great. To where it's really just not a factor at all, other than downgrading slightly the bats in that Baltimore Cubs game would have been a little more interesting on a different day.
I will say at my house right now, it's basically orange/red outside, so I may lose power at any given time. So if I do happen to disappear, Cheese, I'm going to leave you in charge. How does that sound?
You got it.
All right.
I will just take Spidey bombs for the rest of the night.
I'm just going to say that Cheese and I were on a show this morning, and Devin put me in charge. So take that as you will.
I don't know who should we put in charge. Cheese is the long time, but is Cheese?
Well,
are you technically efficient enough to do that?
I'm definitely in charge, but that doesn't mean TJ shouldn't host.
Cheese is definitely in charge.
Touche.
All right, let's get into pitching today. You came in the transition. You had a little bit of a hot take, right? One of the more high-owned pitchers today. You're not on Severino. So as people start to pile in here, maybe let's talk about that a little bit more. Why are you so anti-Severino? Is it the matchup? Is it his lack of strikeouts over his past couple of starts? Is it the lack of him going deeper in games? Is it all of the above? What are you seeing?
So a little all of the above. It's not really so much not liking Severino as much as really liking the other pitchers. But Severino, like when I look at the last couple starts, I just get this feeling that the Yankees have just decided 6 innings is it for him. I don't care about anything. I don't care how well he's pitching. He's done after 6. That's how I see it. And the strikeouts are way down. And he's, at home, there's always some risk. I don't like how he looks against lefties. There aren't that many lefties against him. It's not that I just hate Severino. It's that, to me, he's like a mile or two behind McClanahan, Ohtani, Javier, and Wheeler, and even John Gray. So it just leaves him as a leftover because I'm not going to try to play that many pitchers.
Yeah, you can see 4 strikeouts against Houston. All right, maybe that happens sometimes against Houston. But 3 strikeouts against Pittsburgh. What was going on in that start, Cheese? Is there anything in the underlying metrics, or was that just a bad game for him? What was happening there?
His velocity is ever so slightly down over the last month. It's probably nothing. We're talking going from like 96.5 to like 95.8, but that could be something. The swinging strikes, just 2 starts of a swinging strike rate probably means nothing also. But like they've gone from a steady like 15% to 6%. I'm just not totally sure that there's not something wrong.
All right, so we'll keep that in mind. Before we transition to maybe some other pitchers Cheese might want in the cash game realm, TJ, Severino, from the tournament perspective, one, he's going to be reasonably high owned, more so on DraftKings where you got to roster 2 pitchers. What's your take on him today?
So on DraftKings, I think you can get away from him pretty darn easily. On Fanduel, where he's 9,300, I think that gets a little bit tougher. I think he's definitely in the cash game consideration there. Having said that, I like John Gray better. So whether it's cash tournament, I like John Gray better than Luis Severino straight up on Fanduel. On Fanduel, McClanahan is very tough to get up to. He's priced at 11.5. There are bats you can pay down for to make it work, but if you want to pay up for some of these premium guys like Judge and Stanton, it is tough to get McClanahan. So the guys I'm primarily targeting on Fanduel are going to be John Gray, Christian Javier, and then outside of that, I'm really just looking to fill the pitcher spot kind of last, which is surprising, and it's simply because I just like so many guys on this slate. I'm comfortable with McClanahan, Ohtani, Severino, Gray, Wheeler, Javier, Giolito, Steele on FanDuel. So because of that, and I mean, even if I have a super chalky lineup, even maybe squeezing in a Musgrove lineup or 2, but he's not on the top of my list. Yeah. But because I like so many pitchers, I'm actually looking to fill it out last today. And then on DraftKings, I love McClanahan. I just think you got to try and get up to him. McClanahan, Ohtani, my top 1 and 2 by far, if you want to pay up. And then if you want to pay down, John Gray is definitely my next favorite option.
Yeah, Cheese, this slate's sort of like the last time we did a show when we had like Verlander and Sale and Cole, right? They were all stars, but the names have just changed, right? We got McClanahan and Ohtani and Christian Javier, Zach Wheeler. I'm not as high on Wheeler today. I've got some under on his overall props today. But it looks like you're leading with Christian Javier today. I will say Derek Carty does not like Christian Javier today for one reason or another. So you are anti the bat with him being your favorite pitcher today. But it's really hard to argue against 13, 14, and 7 strikeouts in his last game. And he gets a Troutless Angels lineup. I mean, I think our ownership is probably a little bit too low on him.
Yeah, like if he's only like 20% owned, 15 to 20, I'll be very surprised and super thrilled. I mean, to me, he's the clear number one. And when I say clear, it's really close. I mean, it's not like I expect him to score 40 and everyone else to score 20. Just like these strikeouts for him in general and in this matchup are so spectacular. I like him even more than I feel like I should. And I love him. I'm playing so much of him.
Jesus is smitten like a kitten over Christian Javier today.
Yeah. And normally when there's this much great pitching, I would be spreading it out a little more. And I love McClanahan. I love Ohtani, and I love John Gray, at least on DraftKings at that price. And I'm playing a bunch of all those guys. And I really like Zach Wheeler a lot, which again goes back to I'm getting rid of Severino. I got to get rid of one of these guys. But just give me those strikeouts and that matchup for Javier as my number one.
Yeah, with Christian Javier, TJ, he's Cheese's leading guy. I threw together a couple cash game lineups. I'm playing him too. I like Cheese's analysis from his musings today. What's your take on him? Does he deserve to be higher owned than our projections are? I think we've got, on FanDuel, Cardi's got him at about 8%. Roto, we have him at about 8%, it looks like, as well. 15% on DraftKings for Cardi. And I think it's probably around that same RG. We've got him at about 23% there. If he's coming in this low owned, is Cheese bumping up the ownership by talking about him so hard in the musings and on the show right now?
I mean, maybe. He's definitely among my favorites as well. Top 4 favorites on DraftKings and probably top 2 on FanDuel. So I'm definitely with it. I'm on the same page.
Let me pause you for 1 second, because I'm looking at the bat stuff, because that's kind of where this is coming in. The bat has him at 88 pitches as his projected pitch count, which would be the fewest he's thrown since May. So I'm not sure why. To me, that's just a mistake. And if you put him at 95 pitches, which is where he's been at, even just those few pitches would bump him up.
All right, here we go. You want me to call him? I'll call up Mr. Cardi right now, and we'll see what's going on. We'll get him
maybe a text. Maybe a text.
We'll call him up.
He might still be sick. Cardi's been sick.
Oh, all right.
I hope he's okay now.
Yeah, me too. We never want to see anyone be too sick nowadays. All right, Cheese, the best of the rest. I mean, there's a long list of pitchers here today. So maybe we've got Javier number 1 for you. We've got Severino at a 0 for you. So maybe rank the best of the rest for everyone else.
Yeah, for me, it's McClanahan too. And like TJ said, on FanDuel, I don't think you need to do it with McClanahan. That salary is so extreme. But DraftKings, he's 2. FanDuel, I don't have I have one Ohtani lineup where I just had a little extra money, was able to get there, but pretty much I have Javier in all but 2 FanDuel lineups. And if I was running 150, I would throw in a few more John Grays, and that's it. DraftKings, I rank them McClanahan, and then Ohtani, and then Wheeler, and then Gray after Javier. But if you're factoring for that salary, I'm fine saying that Gray is the number 2.
TJ, is the dog situation, are we free to talk?
Under control.
All right, we're under control there. So for tournaments,
sounds under control.
I got my dog's right here. Thankfully, he's sleeping. He could bark at any given time, though. You never know. You never know with these guys.
My fiance walked in the door. They were very excited.
What mine is when we get a delivery, all hell breaks loose in our household. So there's it's like we say the dog doesn't like bombs being dropped on the porch from the brown truck. So that's our little joke in our house. Anyway, the best of the rest in tournaments. Are we looking at, let's say we got to save some money today. Who are some guys? You've got Savale, Justin Steele, although he's a little bit more expensive on DraftKings, I believe. Is there any, Savale, I know Cheese wrote him up a little bit in his article, is basically a price saving. Hey, you want to stack the Yankees today? Maybe you gotta save a little bit of money. Who's that guy for you in tournaments today, TJ?
So on FanDuel, it's Justin Steele. I don't even love it because I feel like he's just picking up a little bit too much ownership, but he's the only guy in that range I'm comfortable with. Outside of him, I'm really just not going to go lower than John Gray. On DraftKings, it's John Gray by far. 7,700, I think, is just like the most savings I'd want to get. If you want to go, guys like Savali, Ross Stripling, Paul Blackburn, if you're running 150, I think you can keep them in your pool. But outside of MMEing, I wouldn't be wanting to go to them. We just have so many great spend up options, or even mid tier options like Gray or even Giolito, that I don't really have any interest in going to him.
And then Cheese in cash, Cheese, is Gray SP2, or are you doing two of the premier pitchers today?
Assuming you want to try to get Judge Stanton in there, I would be good with Gray. Like basically that's sort of the line in cash. If it allows you to go Judge Stanton, I would play Gray. If you're not doing that, then I would just do all the cheap Padres and go up too.
All right. I want to give a shout out to the FanDuel Sportsbook. They are the sponsor of the show. I've got one of the bets I've made. As good as Javier and Ohtani are, Cheese, they're not great first inning pitchers. I'm not, I love these no run first innings. I actually have the first inning runs in that game. It was plus money. I bet that on FanDuel early this morning. I don't know what the line is now, but that was one of the first things I actually bet this morning. And if you are new and you're in one of those states where you can bet on FanDuel, you can get up to $1,000 risk-free bet. Make sure you take advantage of that. Very nice of them to allow you to do something like that. So let's get to offense. There's the Padres. There's the Yankees, Cheese. There's everyone else. Is that basically what I'm looking at? I mean, I was looking on DraftKings, and I could play two really good pitchers. I could play a bunch of people from Coors. I could play a couple of Yankees. Seems too easy.
It's way too easy. Like, I hate how easy it is, Like, these are the slates where you would love for it not to be easy to get those great teams so that you could just play them and maybe be a little different. But today, I have a bunch of things that aren't them just because, and I plan to lose with all those lineups. I'll just say that I'm much happier being on Yankees chalk than on Padres chalk. Like the Padres, it's really just a pricing thing to me. Like if they were all the same salary, even with the Coors Field factor, like the Yankees are so much better than the Padres. I'm okay being under on Padres chalk.
TJ, what about for tournaments tonight? If everyone's piling into those two teams, and rightfully so, where are some other places people can look to for some offense that, if let's say the Yankees, Judge doesn't have the big game or Stanton doesn't have the big game. A lot of people are going to have those. There's going to be ways to jump up the leaderboard. Where would you be looking for offense?
So 9 likes away from the Spidey Bomb. Hit that like button for some free content. And for me, like I'll start this off by saying I am playing a lot of Yankees. I am playing a lot of Padres. The next tier for me is going to be Dodgers. Are going to be my third favorite team to get to. They provide some great salary saving options on FanDuel. You can get a mid 3 to 6. 5 to 8, whatever you want to do, Dodger stack that is priced out very, very well. So you can still get these strong pitchers, as well as Texas. I like getting to in tournaments. Philly, I like getting to in tournaments, and the White Sox would be my next team on there. We have eclipsed the amount of likes we got to get, but we got over 400 people watching. So let's make it 175 for our second one. First Spidey Bomb here is going to be Kyle Schwarber.
All right, I'm going. Let's see here. So on the FanDuel Sportsbook, to hit a home run, plus 280. Does that sound good enough for everybody for Schwarber to hit a home run?
Yeah, I mean, unless Corey Seeger has better odds than that, bet him. But I was trying to.
That better not be number 2. You can't be. That's not number 2, right?
Corey Seager was yesterday's Spidey Bomb, so I don't want to run it back. You know what I mean? But Seager and Schwarber are my two favorites outside of Coors and the Yankees to go yard.
All right, and then Cheese offense. We'll get into position by position in just a second. Offense other than the two, Coors and Yankees. What else would you be looking at?
Just like TJ, it's very clearly the Dodgers next for me. In fact, I kind of have them in their own second tier. And then also with the Rangers being next. Phillies, I have a little St. Louis interest. At least like the pricing on the non-Goldschmidt Arenado guys is so cheap that they've actually moved up my board a little bit too.
Yeah, I was looking at them on FanDuel as basically like a couple of those guys near the top of the order as last man in, even in like a cash game setting to me on FanDuel. They were just a little bit too cheap for me. All right, let's get to some offense. We'll start catcher. Cheese, cash games, maybe not so much FanDuel. What are we looking at on DraftKings today?
I mean, you may as well just play Austin Nola in cash, but I do like Higashioka better in tournaments. Like, if I have a choice between a Yankee and a Padre, anywhere, I'm going with the Yankee. But I love Will Smith as a spend up to be a little different. It's not going to be. I mean, people will play Will Smith, but not as much as they should. So that's pretty much my catcher pool.
All right, TJ, tournaments.
Yeah, same boat for me there. I like Higashioka best, and Will Smith as a pay up would be the guy that I'd be wanting to go to the most there. If you want to play Jonah Heim in a stack, I'm good with that. If you want to play Garrett Stubbs in a stack, sure. But those two guys that we mentioned first are really my top options.
All right, Cheese, let's go to first base. What's that look like around the industry today?
It's a little different between the sites. Like on DK, Hosmer at 2K, like it's just silly.
What are they doing?
Just play Eric Hosmer, right? But on FanDuel, where Hosmer's 29, I would rather play Freeman for 38 if you can make that work, or Rizzo or Hoskins. Eric Hosmer is not really good enough to be almost as expensive as those other guys. So to me, that's much more a DraftKings thing. Give me Freeman and Hoskins and Rizzo on FanDuel.
TJ, in tournaments, what are you looking at the position today?
Yeah, same guys that Cheese mentioned there. And then there are some other one-offs that you can kind of always play. If you want to play Vlad Guerrero, I'll never tell you no. You want to play Josh Naylor, that's totally fine. I think Anthony Rizzo and Freddie Freeman are your two best tournament options just because they are not getting played much at all by the field. Everybody's playing the Yankees, but nobody wants to play Rizzo because it's left on left. Minor might be out of the game in the second inning, and even if he's not, Anthony Rizzo can hit anybody. So he's definitely a good tournament guy for stacks, and I love the Freddie Freeman call as well.
You guys I was looking at minor under 15.5. What outs? What's that? So that's what, 5.5 innings? Under on that?
Yeah, I love that.
What about you, Cheese? You good on that?
You know, I don't know. I think they might let him pitch a long time, even if he's getting shelled. I'm not sure. I don't love that.
All right, I won't hit the button. I was hoping both of you would do it, but I'm going to stay away if Cheese is giving.
It just seems like one of those. If he gives up 4 home runs, I don't know. They just take him out.
All right, what were you going to say, TJ?
The last thing at first I want to mention as a pay-up option, someone I really like, Jose Abreu, either in a White Sox stack or as a one-off. And then even though we do like Christian Javier, if you want a one-off Jared Walsh, he's super cheap, but I think that's okay too.
All right, second base, Cheese. Is it, Cronenworth looks reasonably priced on both sites? Cash, that's it?
So he's pretty much the very obvious cash play. Like you could say, oh, I'm going to go down to Ruiz on DraftKings at minimum. But you don't need this many 2K guys. Like it's too goofy. So yeah, play Cronenworth in cash. Play Torres. I would play Torres ahead of him in tournaments. And then don't forget about our best friend Max Muncy.
And then TJ, we've got the Padres, at least on DraftKings, are the cheap ones are approaching 25-30% ownership on a huge slate today. Well, what are some ways we can maybe get a little bit different there?
Yeah, Gleyber Torres is my favorite option in tournaments. I like Marcus Semien. Brendan Rodgers is all right. Max Muncy, I'm on the same page as well. I like him. And Jose Iglesias batting second is I know he's second and short available on FanDuel. I'm not sure if he's second base eligible on DraftKings, and I know he's actually more expensive there than he is on FanDuel. So he's just short on DraftKings. But on FanDuel, you can play him at second. It's a pretty weak position outside of Cronenworth and Torres if you're not wanting to take a tournament shot on Semien or Muncy. So I don't mind Jose Iglesias in there, even though I'm not super high on the Rockies. He's batting second. He's been hitting the ball pretty well lately. He's probably not gonna get you a home run, but he might get on base a couple times and get home as well.
How many likes we got, TJ? We there yet?
We are 134. No, the people are slacking. We got 420 people watching, and no one's wanting to hit the like button for some FanDuel sponsored content today. So it is what it is. We may not get our second one today.
All right, here. I'll help contribute. I clicked the like button. We'll get the second Spidey Bomb. I've got the FanDuel Sportsbook app open. I'm ready to win some money off TJ's hard work. Let's go to third base. Cheese, what are we doing there? There's this guy, Manny Machado. He's in Coors today. DraftKings, he's a little, he's 5,500. FanDuel is 4,500. Is he still the guy?
Yeah, he is. In cash games, it's to just play him. Just like every position, it's a Padre and then it's a Yankee. And I do like Donaldson better in tournaments with that savings. Ha-Seong Kim is third and short eligible on both sites. But I don't know. He's kind of just a Padre stack only guy for me. Don't forget Jose Ramirez. Like, you're not going to do him certainly in a cash game or even in a bulk of tournament lineups. But it's Jose Ramirez. But yeah, play Machado in cash. Don't be silly.
All right, TJ, third base tournaments. Some interesting names. Is there anyone you're actually going out on the limb to target? Not from Coors or Josh Donaldson.
Josh Donaldson's my main target. I am going to be underweight on Manny Machado today, just kind of by design of the rest of my lineups. There's other guys I want to pay up for, like Stanton and Judge. The next person on my list outside of those two would be Yoan Moncada. I like him quite a bit today. Justin Turner batting fifth for the Dodgers, I like quite a bit. And then if you want to play Kim in your Padres stack, as opposed to Manny Machado, you're going to lose quite a bit in projections and chances of hitting a home run. But if he does better than Machado today, you're gonna be quite different than the field on your Padres stacks.
All right. If you guys want to get questions in either in our Discord, MLB Crunch Time for the premium subs, or on the YouTubes, I will get to those as soon as Outfield is done. Cheese, let's go to shortstop. Again, there's a couple Padres. Maybe there's a couple other people. There's a guy named Corey Seeger. Are we playing him? What are we doing there?
It's very interesting on FanDuel. It's not that interesting on DraftKings, where CJ Abrams is 2,000. Mm-hmm. And I think you get your handful of 2K guys, and he's one of them, so that you can go up to Judge and Stanton. But like FanDuel, 2,500 for Abrams versus an expensive 39 for Trey Turner or 4 for Corey Seager. Or you can do Ha-Seong Kim too. Personally, I would want to spend up at shortstop. Give me Seeger and Turner on FanDuel and get away from that sort of just blah Padres chalk.
And then TJ in tournaments. What's I guess is there any, like, if of the name pitchers out there today, which one would you most likely like target against of the guys that are to be high owned? Are there any shortstops you could play against them?
Of the guys that are going to be high owned, no, I don't think so. There's nobody in particular I want to play. Like, the closest to that for me would be Jose Iglesias, but just because that's in Coors against a good pitcher. However, I don't really think he's going to be picking up a lot of ownership today. I agree with Cheese, Seeger, and Turner are my top two options. Seeger number 1, Turner 2. But there are quite a few cheap guys I like as well. Josh Smith for the Rangers. CJ Abrams in my Padres stacks, as well as Bryson Stott batting 5th today for Philadelphia. I don't mind. He's almost minimum price on FanDuel. I don't mind punting with him when I need the salary.
Geez, I'll pose you the same question. You're anti-Severino today. You got a red stack out there?
I do. I have a couple red stacks and I have a couple Vados on his own. And I would say, like, even in all my Javier lineups, I have a Jared Walsh and a Taylor Ward, just because he'll give up a home run along with his 14 strikeouts.
Couple of them. All right, let's go to the outfield. Always a lot of options here. There's Judge, there's Stanton, there's Grisham. that's where I think a lot of people are going to be getting their outfielders from today. Cheese, are those the main targets that we're playing in cash?
I mean, cash game is there's not even I don't even know why we're even talking about it. Like you play Judge and Stanton, and then Grisham and or Mazzara if you need more savings, and you're done. Like there's nothing to even think about. There's a lot to think about in tournaments with this ownership. I'll be curious to hear TJ's thoughts, but I have no issue at all fading Grisham and Mazzara. I do have issue fading Judge and Stanton. I mean, I love Schwarber and Betts. Betts in particular, probably not going to be owned at all, but I'm just getting over the field on Judge and Stanton.
Yeah, I mean, TJ, these guys are approaching, right? Huge slates, 30-ish% ownership, Stanton, Mazzara, in the mid-20s. These are generally players you should be looking to not play that much on these large fields. I guess the problem today is there's so much good pitching, it's suppressing some of the other good players in terms of projections and things like that today. Is there anyone you think could possibly compare or even outdo some of these big name players everyone seems to be playing today?
Yeah, outfield in tournaments, I think, is the position to do that with. We're 10 likes away from the Spidey Bomb, but I trust that people are going to hit the like button and get us there. So I'll start with that. Our second one today is going to be Luis Robert. I really like the White Sox today. Him and Jimenez I like as one-offs or in stacks.
He's 420 to hit a home run. Oh, yeah, on Fanduel.
Yeah,
Boom,
yeah.
That's in.
I like that one quite a bit. And I do think on the outfield there are guys like Robert, like Jimenez, like Kyle Schwarber, as well as Charlie Blackmon is another one of my favorite one-offs on the slate. Musgrove is a lot worse against lefties than he is against righties. I like Blackmon quite a bit as a one-off, even if you don't want to stack the Rockies today. And then I am playing a lot of these Dodgers and Yankees players. I agree. If I'm going to fade one, I would be more comfortable fading Mazzara and Grisham than I would be Stanton and Judge. Having said that, with Judge all the way priced up there, I do think it's somewhat interesting. If you want to play a 4-man Yankee stack on FanDuel and get different, you play your Torres, Stanton, and Donaldson with Higashioka or LeMahieu, somebody like that. And then you throw in a cheap Eloy Jimenez or a expensive Kyle Schwarber, get somewhere in between with Charlie Blackmon, and you all of a sudden have a much different team than the other people in your contests, and you're not sacrificing that much upside.
With what you just said, TJ, I'll ask you the most interesting question of the day. The most important stat of all, BVP. There is one Yankee who has homered off of Mike Minor ever. Do you know who that is?
One Yankee who has homered off of Mike Minor ever. Is it Kyle Higashioka?
It's Joey Gallo.
It's Joey Gallo. I knew it was gonna be somebody crazy by the way you said it, so I tried to go for.
I do honestly have a lot of Gallo tonight, because I like to get over 4s.
And I don't think there's anything that wrong with Gallo, that wrong with playing Gallo on this slate because the Yankees are in such a good spot, and yeah, I'm here for that.
All right, I'm gonna go to
one thing I will say is just in general, it seems to me like the Cubs are going pretty overowned on FanDuel. FanDuel's where I'm playing today, so that's where I'm looking primarily. I feel like the Cubs are going pretty overowned. The fact that multiple players on the team are going to get double-digit ownership on such a big slate, I think is pretty crazy. And then that's really the only one that I don't like. Another outfielder, though, that I forgot to mention that I really, really like today as a one-off, and I'm kind of uncomfortable that I haven't been able to get to him more because I really like him as a one-off, borderline Spidey Bomb play, is Franmil Reyes. Lucas Giolito is reverse splits with his strikeouts. Franmil Reyes is reverse splits with his power. I like this spot for him quite a bit.
all right, let's go to some questions in the RG Discord. Again, guys, start throwing those in. We got about 10 minutes until lock. Achilles wanted to know for FanDuel Cash, you're picking Mazzara or Hosmer. Which one you got to get if that's your final player?
I'd play Hosmer.
Let's see here. A couple other ones. We've got Hero has a DraftKings tournament question. And I guess maybe you could both answer this. What cash game play is actually a good tournament play today? Because everyone's playing the same guys, right? So which one of all of the higher owned guys today, I'll pose to each one of you, is like, you got to have one. Who is it?
Probably Stanton for me.
Yeah, it's definitely the Yankees and not the Padres. I mean, I would say Judge or Stanton.
All right.
My
Jason,
favorite tournament Yankee or just tournament person from those two games in general, though, is going to be Gleyber Torres.
J. Sams has a FanDuel tournament question. He's got 2,700 left on FanDuel. Would you play the Chalky Abrams, or would you complete a race stack with like Taylor Walls? He's already got four of the he's got a Yankee stack. So would you play Abrams in it, or try to get a little bit off the board?
I don't think Abrams is going to be very chalky on FanDuel. Just like, yes, he's cheap and he's batting seventh, but I don't think he's actually going to pick up that much ownership. My favorite one-off at that price, though, I think would probably be Cody Bellinger.
Let's see. NBA DFS wanted to know, we didn't talk about Bryson Stott at all. He's 2,100 at shortstop. Is anyone interested in playing him today?
We
TJ
did
mentioned,
talk about him, and I am interested. Yes, I got him on one team that I got him in there as a one-off just because I needed to punt out of position, and he fit perfectly at short.
All right. Steve OJ.
And I have him in my Philly stack as well.
He's got a DraftKings tournament question. He's got a Cubs stack. He needs a player to finish it. You want Morel, or do you want Wisdom against the win today?
Oh, definitely Wisdom there.
Oh, yeah. Wisdom's like one of the most powerful hitters in all of baseball.
Yeah, he's the guy that it could be a 40-mile-an-hour wind blowing in his face. He could still hit it out if he gets a hold of it right.
Yeah, no question. BJ Tom, DraftKings cash. So this one's going to be interesting. Javier and Donaldson, or Gray and Machado?
The projection answer is Gray Machado. I would play Javier Donaldson.
I agree.
Carolina guy, he's got a FanDuel single entry. He's looking for a team to play. TJ, who would be your favorite stack today?
Yankees. It's still the Yankees. But if you want to, then the next one for a tournament would be the Dodgers.
Let's see. Chinatown has a DraftKings cash question. He's punting at catcher. Who are we playing, Cheese? Nola or Higashikoa?
So in cash, I would tell you go with Nola. I officially like the Yankees better than the Padres, but in cash, when it's that close to, that's one where I think you take the Coors Field play.
All right. BGA Tom, another DraftKings cash. Grisham or Mazzara? Only one of them today.
You definitely play Grisham. I say definitely because if someone gets pinch hit for, which isn't that likely, it would probably be Mazzara. But I don't expect it with either. But take the leadoff guy anyway.
All right. Hero wanted to know DraftKings tournament. Astros or Angels stacks today, considering the quality of pitching. Is that worth it, or are you wasting a lineup today?
I think I wouldn't do either personally. And if I would, it would actually maybe be a mini stack of each, because I wouldn't want to full stack the Angels because you can't play Trout, can't play Ohtani. Maybe you want to get Walsh and Ward in there as a mini stack with Diaz and someone for Houston, but I don't like either. If I was picking one, it would be Houston. Oh, Diaz projection removed. Not in the lineup. There you go.
Achilles has a fun one, Cheese. More likely to go 0 for 4 for the rest of the season. I'll pose it for tonight, too. Gallo or Voit?
Yeah, well, Voigt's out tonight, so
Oh,
he'll only go 0 for 1.
What about the rest of the season?
Voigt will go 0 for 4 more than Gallo.
Gallo go 0 for 3 because I'll walk a couple times.
That's what
DraftKings single entry Blue Jays stack. Is anyone on the Blue Jays today?
I think they are more interesting as one-offs than as a full stack.
Geez, you got any Blue Jays out there today?
I don't. You can always, that's a good enough team. You're always allowed to do it, but I personally do not have any.
Amateur hour. All right, this is like a 2 question, so pay attention here. DraftKings tournament. Rizzo, Casti, and Mazzara, or Hall, Stanton, and Grisham, or another one. Amateur hour. You got too much going on here. I'm going to skip this one. It's a 3v3v3. Too much. Shrink it down if you can by the end of the show. We'll get to it. Let's see here.
Let's get to 200 likes for a minion bomb from Cheese.
Ooh, a minion bomb. What's that? Yeah, what is that?
Oh, that's the thing.
Just kind of seeing what we got here. Cody Bellinger is a one-off today. Anyone like that?
Yes, a lot.
We both like him. Yeah.
All right, yeah, that's from Dan Jan. BHB wanted to know DraftKings cash. Let's see, Higashikoa and Abrams, or Nola and Hampson.
Abrams.
All right. FanDuel cash. The Pharaoh wanted to know Hosmer or Donaldson.
Donaldson. But it's probably Hosmer, but I like Donaldson better.
Cheese?
Sorry, it's a cash question.
Yeah, that's just one of those, like, some people would say I just go by the projections. It's probably going to be Hosmer, but I would play Donaldson.
BHB, DraftKings cash, Javier and Ohtani, or McClanahan and Gray. That's definitely going to be Javier and Ohtani for you, Cheese, right?
Yeah, I like all. I mean, I don't hate either combo because McClanahan Gray is also fantastic. But yes, I would Javier Ohtani.
Hero wanted to know DraftKings tournament and A stack. Is that just too far off tonight? What they score, like 4,000 runs yesterday? That's it for the rest of the season.
I'm not going there.
No, probably not. All right, I think that's about it from our Discord. I'm going to go to YouTube, and I don't know. I guess I'll just see what I can find there. I see you've been active, TJ. Are there any specific questions you've seen that you wanted to answer quickly?
DraftKings, Javier Ohtani. That's a 4x4. Geez. Smith and Ruiz. Okay, so we like Javier Ohtani better as the pitching combo. So the question is, Will Smith and Ruiz or Higashioka and Cronenworth? It doesn't specify tournament or cash. I think the answer for me, regardless, would be Higashioka and Cronenworth. What about you, Cheese?
Yeah.
Oh, single entry tournament. There you go.
Yeah. Cheese,
Yeah.
instead of fielding questions from YouTube, I want you to run through pitching real quick from your mind compared to what you think the field's going to do in terms of both cash and tournaments, because it seems like a lot of these are asking for pitchers. So I'm just going to let you run with pitching for a minute or two and give your thoughts on it.
Yeah, like I really think the ownership is so spread out as to essentially not matter. Like I really can't put my finger on, hey, this guy's going to be, the 40 to all these 25s. And so like that makes me more confident in just saying, I'm going to play Javier. I'm not going to play Severino.
I want to be clear. Your guy tonight is Christian Javier for people who maybe tuned in.
Absolutely. And I think, John Gray on DraftKings, I think will maybe even be the most popular pitcher because of the price. And I agree with it. Like he's kind of on his own in that tier. I guess we should say no one's ever mentioned Lucas Giolito. If some random dude is going to strike out 12 batters, like he still has that in him. I'm not playing him. He's been off. It's not a great matchup. But like if you're doing 150, do a couple lineups where you do Giolito instead of Gray.
And I'm playing a little bit of Giolito too, and he's especially nice on DraftKings where he's a little bit cheaper. And even though Cleveland doesn't strike out a ton, this is a team that they're giving a bit more of a strikeout heavy lineup than they typically have had in the past. Obviously, you have Franduel there. Jones is in there now. That's 25% in a super limited sample size. They have Hedges in there today. So
and
they do have some strikeouts.
He was like, 1 out away from a total gem last week. I mean, it was Detroit, but like the box score looks terrible, but it was like 5 like brilliant innings. And then he just kind of had that one bad inning. The bullpen let in a bunch of runs. Like he's on the verge of getting it back.
And I also wanted to know, I don't know if people will be able to get this in time, but you're anti which pitcher tonight, Cheese?
Severino.
So Cheese is a little bit down on Severino compared to
just like obviously Javier, but I like Ohtani and McClanahan a good bit more. And I like Gray more for raw points, even before accounting for the salary.
Someone on YouTube says there's a pitcher's ump in Houston today. That's even better for you, correct? I don't know if this is truthful. This was a YouTube comment, so you got to take it.
No, that's it is a pitcher's ump, and it actually does matter a little bit for Javier. Both he and McClanahan has a pitcher's ump as well, which certainly doesn't hurt anything.
All right, let's see. We've got lock. I'm going to just see here. So the only game that locked was the Yankees game, and it seems like, let's see, any of the questions that have come in our Discord are Yankees related. So unfortunately, not really going to be able to do too much with those. Amateur hour, I guess you can take this one. Do you like the Cleveland guys in tournaments? You know, if he's late swapping around Nolan Jones and Franmil. I know you liked Franmil, TJ. You want to expand on that just a little bit?
If I'm mini stacking, I'd rather go Franmil and Jose Ramirez, obviously. But I feel like there's other guys I'd like better than Nolan Jones. But yes, I do like Franmil Reyes.
All right.
What do we think the combined ownership in kind of high stakes single entry on FanDuel is of Torres, Donaldson, Judge, and Stanton?
Oh, wait. So we're like adding them together?
Yeah.
It's got to be
120.
Yeah, I'll go 100 and I'll take the over on 120. You set the line and I hit the over.
214%.
Yeah, Cheese pay.
Torres is 50, Donaldson's 40, Judge is 64, and Stanton's 61. So 215.
Yeah, the algorithms, Cheese, have the Yankees big time today.
And I mean, they should. Like so what I'm going to be really curious to see is what percentage of these Yankees lineups have cheap Padres with them, because that's the mega chalk build. Is you get the Judge, the Stanton, the Torres, and then you play Hosmer and Abrams and Grisham and Mazzara. Like that. That's what I really want to see. It has to be high if the Yankees are that high to start.
What are the odds?
6.9% for Higashioka on FanDuel. He is definitely homering today.
What do you think the odds of a non-Yankees or Padres stack taking it? Like they're going to be like 50% of the field tonight, right? Like stacks, maybe not like total stacks, but like at least 40% of the field in these large field tournaments tonight. And they're nowhere that high to actually take it down tonight.
Yeah, I don't really think one of those stacks is most likely to win it.
If it's those two versus the field, I would take the field.
Always take the field. Yeah, it's just that you can't really say it's this one out of the field, which is why it's hard not to play them. But yeah, someone will outscore those teams.
If I'm taking a one, it's definitely the Padres. If you're seeing this, it's definitely the Dodgers. If you're seeing this Yankees chalk and you're hearing us, and you want to get off of your Yankees Padres stack, go to the cheaper Dodgers guys, especially if you're on FanDuel. Bellinger, Turner, Muncy. That's a way you can get off some of that Padres chalk. Can't talk today.
I'm just trying to think in my head if I got any. I don't think I put in any bets on the late games today. I'm just double checking. Let's see. Who do I got to win today? I make so many bets in a day. Let's see. So that game, that's already started. I did the Mariners in the doubleheader. Yeah, I don't really have any extra. Didn't really get a ton of bets in. Just on the prop. If any of you are on the prop sites, I know TJ mentioned Charlie Blackmon. He was at like 6.5 fantasy points, basically across all of the prop sites today. So you can go get him and hit the over on that. Does that sounds way too low, right, TJ?
Yeah, I'm with you there. Sorry, I'm just answering some YouTube questions in chat. Some people were wondering if this changes things for Javier because Trout isn't in the lineup. He's hurt. He wasn't projected to be in the lineup, so was all baked into Javier all day.
Yeah, so I don't know, guys. You want to call it a show? How did I do for? I think I know less about the storm clouds, and maybe a little bit more of the baseball. We didn't need the storm clouds today, so I think it turned out all right.
I thought that was pretty magical, Brit.
Now do you know what you did there, Cheese, or did you not realize what you did?
Did I say magical?
You said magical. Did you? Now is that
Oh,
like an?
It's not completely on accident.
All right, I wanted to make sure. That's what I thought was happening. TJ, how's everything going with your Agents of Fandom?
Oh, it is going phenomenally well. I actually got a live stream after this at 6:30. We're live on Twitch talking some Ms. Marvel because the season finale was absolutely wild. Must-see television, best season finale of any Disney Plus show yet. It was phenomenal.
Or if any of you guys are into that, check out TJ's show on his tour. Where can they get you on the Twitch? What's that? Agents of Fandom, probably?
It's just at Agents of Fandom Live, actually.
All right. Well,
Everywhere else it's just Agents.
If anyone's looking for something to do tonight, TJ's going to be hanging out over there. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, something baby related. Cheese, what's your night? What is Cheese's Wednesday night look like?
So I'm going to be by myself for the next hour or two. So I've actually been watching The Boys. So I'm going to watch an episode of that and eat some chicken. I had the baby back ribs for lunch. Whew, so good. Have a little rotisserie chicken. Watch The Boys, and then my wife and daughter will come home, and we'll probably. I think AGT came on last night, which means we'll be watching AGT.
The Boys is definitely a show that you wouldn't think would get made in today's world, but I'm really glad that it is because it's a really great show.
It's I'm enjoying it.
It's perfectly relevant for today's world, and I love it.
Yeah, the Boys is excellent. If anyone's looking for a show, go catch that on Amazon Prime. All right, we're going to get out of here. Everyone, good luck tonight. If you played the Yankees, if the Yankees scored 15 runs yet, Cheese?
Well, they haven't come up to bat yet, so no.
Right.
But Severino did walk the first batter, so far so good on that.
All right, Cheese is 1-for-1 so far with the Severino call. We're going to get out of here. Hopefully everyone enjoyed tonight's show. For TJ and Cheese, I'm Britt. Thanks for watching, and we out ya.